What if one of the most uncomfortable rumors about the Braxton family was never completely denied, just quietly pushed aside? For years, fans have questioned what really happened behind the scenes between Tamar Braxton, her sister Toni Braxton, and Toni's ex-husband Kerry Lewis. The story has circulated online for a long time, but no one in the family ever addressed it directly. Until now. Because recently, Tamar finally responded to the claims that she crossed a line with her own sister's husband. And instead of giving a simple yes or no, she revealed details that made the situation sound even more complicated. Fans weren't expecting what she said next, and once the conversation started, people began revisiting old interviews, old reality show moments, and past family tensions that suddenly looked very different. So what really happened behind closed doors in the Braxton family? And why did this rumor refuse to disappear for so many years? Let's break it all down. The rumor that has followed the Braxton family for years didn't appear overnight. It slowly built up through small comments, awkward moments, and speculation that fans picked apart piece by piece. And while the family has always presented a united front in public, people who watched closely began noticing tension that seemed deeper than the usual sibling disagreements. At the center of the conversation were three names: Tamar Braxton, her legendary sister Toni Braxton, and Toni's ex-husband, Kerry Lewis. For years, fans of the Braxton family followed their careers, their reality shows, and their interviews. The sisters often joked with each other, argued openly, and shared personal stories that most families would normally keep private. But one topic was almost never discussed directly. And that silence only made people more curious. The speculation started gaining attention after viewers began revisiting old episodes of the family's reality series, where Tamar's outspoken personality was always front and center. Tamar had built a reputation for being bold, funny, and unfiltered. She was the sister who said what everyone else might be thinking, but wouldn't dare say out loud. That honesty made her incredibly entertaining on television, but it also meant that sometimes she found herself in the middle of controversy. Meanwhile, Toni had always carried a very different energy. As the oldest and most established star in the family, she was often seen as the calm and composed sister. Her music career had already reached massive success long before the family stepped into reality television, and many fans viewed her as the anchor holding the sisters together. When Toni married Kerry Lewis, who was a member of the RB group Mint Condition, their relationship appeared solid to the public. They seemed like a quiet, supportive couple compared to the drama that often surrounded celebrity marriages. Together they built a life and welcomed children, and for a while it looked like their relationship would stand the test of time. But behind the scenes, things were reportedly more complicated. Like many families, the Braxtons spent a lot of time together. Holidays, family gatherings, filming schedules, and business meetings meant that spouses and siblings were frequently in the same space. Over time, Tamar developed her own friendship with Kerry, something that initially didn't seem unusual at all. In close families, siblings often become friendly with each other's partners. However, according to the rumors that would later spread online, some fans began to believe that Tamar and Kerry were perhaps a little too comfortable around each other. Small interactions that might have once seemed harmless were suddenly being analyzed in a completely different way once people started questioning the nature of their dynamic. Clips from interviews and reality show moments were dissected across social media platforms. Viewers pointed to Tamar's playful personality and her tendency to joke with almost everyone around her. Some said it was simply Tamar being Tamar, the loud, comedic sister who thrived on humor and dramatic reactions. Others, however, believed certain moments hinted at something deeper. The problem was that none of these theories were ever confirmed. They were based entirely on interpretation. A look, a laugh, a comment taken out of context, all of it became fuel for speculation. And the more people talked about it, the bigger the story grew. Eventually, whispers started spreading online claiming that Tamar had crossed a line with Kerry during the time he was still married to Toni. The story quickly became one of those rumors that refused to disappear. Even though there was never a clear source or direct confirmation, the internet continued to revisit the claim over and over again. At the same time, Toni and Kerry's marriage quietly began falling apart. After several years together, the couple eventually decided to divorce. Publicly, their split was explained the way many celebrity breakups are: differences, personal struggles, and the pressures that come with life in the spotlight. But once the divorce became official, the old rumor suddenly came back stronger than ever. People began asking the same uncomfortable question again: was Tamar somehow involved in the breakdown of the marriage? Fans started looking back at every interaction between the sisters. Some viewers noticed that Tamar and Toni occasionally had heated disagreements on camera, which isn't unusual for siblings, but suddenly felt suspicious to people who believed the rumor. Others pointed out that despite the arguments, the sisters still seemed to maintain a bond that didn't look like a relationship permanently damaged by betrayal. That contradiction left many observers confused. If the rumor were true, people wondered, how could the sisters continue appearing together, performing together, and publicly supporting each other? The Braxton family has always been known for their passionate arguments, but even in their most dramatic moments, they still behaved like a family that loved each other deeply. So the story remained stuck in a strange place, widely discussed, yet never proven. Over time, the rumor faded slightly as new celebrity scandals took over headlines. Tamar continued building her own career in television and music, becoming known for her humor and outspoken personality. Toni focused on her music, acting projects, and personal life. And the rest of the Braxton sisters continued appearing in family projects and public events. For a while, it seemed like the internet had finally moved on. But the internet rarely forgets anything. Years later, fans began bringing the rumor back into conversation again, especially when clips of old interviews resurfaced online. Suddenly, a new generation of viewers who hadn't followed the original story started asking the same questions all over again. Why had no one in the family ever addressed the accusation directly? Why had Tamar never completely shut down the rumor? And why did some of Toni's past interviews sound so carefully worded whenever the topic of family loyalty came up? Those questions eventually reached Tamar herself. And when she finally decided to speak about the situation publicly, people expected one of two things: a clear denial, or an emotional confession. Instead, Tamar gave an answer that surprised almost everyone listening. Because rather than focusing on the rumor itself, she began talking about how complicated family relationships can become when fame, business, and personal lives all blend together. She suggested that outsiders often misunderstand moments they see on television, because they don't understand the history between the people involved. But the way she explained things only made fans more curious. Some listeners felt like Tamar was defending herself without directly confronting the rumor. Others believed she was hinting that the story had been exaggerated far beyond the truth. Either way, the conversation that followed opened a door the Braxton family had kept closed for a very long time. And once people started digging deeper into the past, they began finding moments that suddenly looked very different with this rumor in mind. Because the truth about the situation might not be as simple as the internet has always believed. And if Tamar's explanation is accurate, the real story may involve misunderstandings, assumptions, and family dynamics that outsiders could never fully see from the outside. But that explanation also raised an even bigger question. If the rumor wasn't completely true, then why did it spread so widely in the first place? And more importantly, why did it continue following Tamar's name for so many years without anyone in the family putting a definitive end to it? Those are the questions that would eventually push the conversation into an even more uncomfortable direction, one that would force fans to reconsider what they thought they knew about the Braxton family's private life. Because the deeper people looked, the more complicated the story started to become. By the time the rumor had circulated for years, it had already taken on a life of its own. What started as whispers in online forums had grown into one of the most talked about pieces of speculation surrounding the Braxton family. And even though none of the people directly involved ever confirmed the story, the internet kept returning to the same uncomfortable question. Did something actually happen between Tamar Braxton and Kerry Lewis while he was still married to Toni Braxton? For years, the lack of a clear answer allowed fans to fill in the blanks with their own theories. Social media discussions, commentary channels, and fan pages all began dissecting every piece of content involving the Braxton sisters. Old interviews were revisited. Reality show scenes were replayed. Even casual jokes between family members were analyzed in ways that they probably never expected. But as time passed, something else became clear. Despite the rumors, the relationship between Tamar and Toni never seemed permanently broken. They still appeared together in public settings, performed at events, and spoke about each other in interviews with a level of respect that didn't match the dramatic narrative people online had created. That contradiction started making some fans rethink the entire situation. Because if a betrayal of that magnitude had actually occurred, many people believed the sisters would have completely cut ties. Family disagreements are one thing, but the kind of rumor that had been circulating would likely cause a permanent divide in most families. Yet that didn't seem to be the case here. Instead, their relationship appeared complicated but intact, the kind of bond that goes through arguments, distance, and reconciliation over time. Part of that complexity comes from the fact that the Braxton sisters have spent much of their lives balancing family and business at the same time. Growing up together in a musical household eventually led them into a shared entertainment career, which meant their personal lives were often tied directly to their professional decisions. When family members work together for decades, disagreements become almost unavoidable. Money, creative direction, schedules, and public image can all become sources of tension. And when those tensions play out on television, especially on a show like Braxton Family Values, the entire world gets to watch moments that would normally stay private within a family. That level of exposure can easily lead to misunderstandings. Scenes are edited for drama. Conversations are shortened. Emotional moments are highlighted because they make compelling television. But the context behind those moments often stays hidden. Tamar eventually pointed out that reality television can sometimes create the illusion of a much bigger conflict than what actually exists. A playful joke can be edited to look like flirtation. An awkward pause can be turned into apparent tension. Over time, viewers may start building narratives that the people involved never intended. At the same time, Tamar acknowledged that her own personality sometimes made things easier to misinterpret. She has always been expressive, energetic, and comfortable joking about almost anything. That style of humor works perfectly for television entertainment, but it can also be misunderstood by people who only see brief clips online without the surrounding conversation. Meanwhile, Toni has always approached public attention very differently. Known for her calm demeanor and carefully measured interviews, she rarely dives into personal drama when speaking to the media. Her focus has consistently remained on music, acting projects, and maintaining a certain level of privacy around her personal life. Because of that difference in personality, Tamar's louder presence often drew more attention whenever the sisters appeared together. Some viewers even believed the contrast between them created tension that wasn't necessarily about the rumor at all, but simply about two very different personalities sharing the spotlight. Over time, Tamar also spoke about how painful it can be when internet rumors grow beyond control. Once a story begins spreading online, correcting it becomes almost impossible. Even if the people involved deny the rumor, there will always be some audiences who continue believing it anyway. This is a challenge that many celebrities face in the social media era. Stories can travel across platforms within hours, and speculation often moves faster than any official statement. By the time a response is given, millions of people may have already formed their own opinions. In Tamar's case, the rumor connected to family relationships, which made the situation even more sensitive. Publicly arguing about the story could have risked pulling the entire family into a conflict that none of them wanted to relive in front of the world. Instead, the sisters appeared to choose a different approach, focusing on maintaining their bond rather than constantly responding to speculation. Over the years, fans have seen moments where the Braxton sisters openly supported each other through major life events. They celebrated career achievements, stood by each other during personal struggles, and continued appearing together in projects that highlighted their shared history. Those moments reminded many viewers that real families are rarely as simple as internet narratives suggest. Relationships evolve. People argue, forgive, grow apart, and reconnect again over time. The Braxton family's journey has always included emotional ups and downs, but it has also included loyalty that keeps bringing them back together. And that loyalty may be the biggest clue about the truth behind the rumor. Because if there had truly been a betrayal severe enough to destroy trust completely, maintaining that level of public unity would be extremely difficult. The fact that the sisters still share stages, interviews, and family celebrations suggests that whatever challenges they faced were not strong enough to permanently break their connection. Of course, the internet may never fully stop discussing the story. Once a rumor becomes part of pop culture conversation, it tends to resurface whenever fans revisit old shows or interviews. But over time, more people have started focusing on a different question instead. Rather than asking whether the rumor was true, some fans now ask why the public became so invested in analyzing the private relationships of one family. The Braxton sisters have spent decades contributing to music, television, and entertainment. Yet one unconfirmed story managed to overshadow many of those achievements in online discussions. That realization has led some viewers to reconsider how celebrity rumors spread, and why they sometimes last for years without clear evidence. In the end, the story surrounding Tamar, Toni, and Kerry might say more about the nature of internet speculation than it does about the people involved. Because when millions of people watch a family's life unfold on television, every small moment becomes open to interpretation. And once those interpretations turn into rumors, they can continue circulating long after the original context has been forgotten. For the Braxton family, the real story may simply be that they navigated fame, relationships, and personal struggles in the public eye, something very few families ever have to experience. And despite all the speculation that has followed them, one thing remains clear. They are still, at the end of the day, a family. Which means the truth about their relationships is something only they fully understand. Now that you've heard the full story, it's time to ask yourself what you really think. Did Tamar finally shed light on a rumor that was unfairly hanging over her for years? Or did this explanation reopen wounds that might never fully heal? When family silence protects peace at the cost of clarity, who truly pays the price? And is it ever possible to reconcile public perception with private reality? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it thoughtful, not heated. Share your perspective on how much context matters when rumors start circulating, and how you would handle a situation where timing, intent, and perception collide so dramatically. Every insight adds to the conversation because, at the heart of it, this isn't just a story about celebrity gossip, it's about trust, loyalty, and the invisible rules that govern families under the public eye. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective on the dynamics between Tamar, Toni, and the rest of the Braxton family, hit that like button so others can see it too. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date on more in-depth stories that go beyond the headlines, exploring what happens when long-held secrets, rumors, and family tensions finally collide. And don't forget, next up, we'll dive even deeper into the moments that tested the Braxton sisters' relationships and reveal the behind-the-scenes reactions fans never saw. Stay tuned, because sometimes the most shocking moments aren't the rumors themselves, they are the explanations that refuse to stay quiet.